So what happened to Jesus and his royal family after the crucifixion and resurrection? This is something that very few people discuss or are willing to discuss because of the church's narrative of him having floated off on a cloud after 40 days as what we know as an ascension. Now, the simple fact is that if he would have ascended on a cloud and disappeared after the resurrection, then he would not be the Messiah. For after resurrection, the Messiah was prophesied to travel the world and re-inspire and reunite the lost tribes of Judea. And this was his messianic cause, if you like, after the resurrection. So there are records that show that Yeshua, Jesus Christ, was found in Kashmir, India, which was known to be the Valley of the Gods, the land of milk and honey, given to the people by God as the fertile lands. And this is where Moses lived and is buried. So it makes perfect sense that Jesu would have gone to India in search of these lost tribes to re-inspire them, for they had fled Judea many years before upon Roman rule and everything that the Romans brought with that rule. And many Jews then fled to south France, in the areas where Mary Magdalene would have settled, and also in Kashmir, India. So these lost tribes, known as the Kush tribes of Kashmir, are where Jesu would have gone to preach and live, to fulfill the Vedic prophecies, which were within the Bhavishya Purana, which was part of the Vedic scriptures. There was also a prophecy that the Messiah would come to India after resurrecting, after having been crucified by his own people. Now, these prophecies are something that was extremely important to people back then. So Jesu, knowing that he would have to not only be crucified, but also then rise from the dead on the third day to fulfill prophecy, and then go forth to preach and reunite and inspire the world. And he did this. As we can see, still 2,000 years later, Jesus Christ is the most famous Jew in history. This is due to his messianic cause. Now, in India, the king of Kashmir, King Shalivahan, was also part of this destiny of meeting with the Messiah. And he went to a specific spot on a specific day where the astrologers had guided him to go there and meet with the Messianic Lord who had come from Judea. And there, Jesus and King Shalivahan met, and it was documented. The conversations that were discussed were documented by the astrologers and by the scribes of the king. And there were many beautiful teachings and many wonderful things and miracles that were continued by Jesus in Kashmir, India, and actually all over the country of India, where Christianity flourished and grew. It was actually the first place where a temple was built, a Christian temple in Kerala, India, by Thomas, Doubting Thomas. So what does that mean? Why is he called Doubting Thomas? Again, this is evidence of Jesus having risen in the flesh, not just in spirit, but in the flesh. Now, if he had risen in the flesh and supped with his friends and been touched in his wounded hands by his friend Thomas, then we can believe that Jesus was actually physically alive after the resurrection. So where did he go? And what did he do? Well, the Indian texts seem to be the only place where we can find any truth of the history of Christ after the resurrection. And this was where I preened many beautiful things that were included in my book, Woman in Red, Magdalene Speaks, which really builds an incredible bridge between faiths. And that is the ultimate mission and cause of the Messiah, was to unite people of all faith beneath one God and Goddess, making us all brothers and sisters.